On today's show, Ryan and Tim are going to join me, and we're going to talk about what they do when it comes to taking their rigs off-road. From preparing, to airing down, to understanding what sway bar disconnects are, and when to use lockers. All of that today on the show. Stick around. So welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about taking your rig off-road. So if you're new to the Jeep community or you've been doing it for years and you just want to prepare and get some tips from some seasoned vets, stick around. So welcome guys. What's going on? How's things?
Sun's shining, man. So starting to get intense. People are itching, right?
I know.
Little, restrictions are lifting and people are wanting to do more things outdoors, and now the weather's kind of lending its hand that way. So, we're excited about that, that's for sure. And, I don't know. That's about it. Big list of crap to do today, and just like every other day. But, how are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing actually pretty good. To be honest, we're doing the big launch of the official launch for jeepbeef.com, the new jeepbeef.com this weekend, which should be fun. We sort of put it on hold, being that the whole world sort of fell apart. So, so that should be fun. We'll do some giveaways and what have you. I'm sure by the time this thing airs, that will have all been a thing of the past. But it's pretty exciting, pretty busy, like you say, giant list of things to do. Tim, how's the Gladiator?
It's been fun to drive. I love it. I'm super happy with how he built that thing. I think they nailed it. Not that it's upgrades when it comes to improving off-road performance. It's fun. My brother's driven a few days. We kind of been mixing up vehicles so we can all evaluate it and give honest opinions on what we think of it. Yeah, I'm super happy with it.
Nice, that's awesome. Do you have any immediate plans to do some things to it, or are you gonna sort of wait and see and do some research?
No. I'm doing some homework, but I want to get it on 37s right away. Just researching lifts now in terms of what's good. I daily it, so that's the most important thing to me. Off-road performance would be secondary because I've got some other vehicles that are better set up for the crazy stuff. But I want to get it out in the dirt with my kids. It's a fun vehicle, so we'll definitely take it on some mild off-roading and some runs, maybe with some new people that want to get out. Yeah, just enjoy it. Can't wait. Like Ryan said, the weather's breaking and there's lots of sunshine, so people are itching to get outside and enjoy.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I can't wait to see doing the same thing. I swear we're gonna have matching Jeeps, no question.
You gotta be matching onesies too,
right?
When you get up, match the suit.
Yeah, I'm doing the exact same thing. 37s. We're actually talking to a couple companies to see what we're gonna put on there in terms of wheels and all that fun stuff. But yeah, everything I've seen, it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. We were gonna do with the JL here. So, so let's start off with the product of the week. This week we have a product from TMR, and it would be the quick release fire extinguisher mount, which I think ties in well with what we're gonna be talking about in terms of overall preparedness and what to bring on the trails and what have you today. So, Tim, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that quick release fire extinguisher mount?
Yeah, of course. So I'll show you it here. I don't know how well you can see it on the video, but they're easy to look up on our website, or we got a YouTube video that shows one. Basically, it's a welded fabrication. It's two pieces. So one half of it you're going to attach to your vehicle. The most common method to do that is to use simply gear clamps to fasten it to your roll bar. It also has some holes, though, in the bottom if you wanted to drill through your floorboard, per se, or drill and tap your roll cage and fasten it that way. The other half of the assembly, which is this gold piece here, you gear clamp that to a fire extinguisher itself. So we recommend a 2.5 pound, and I like to see most people have at least one of these in your vehicle, if not two. In terms of usage, it's that easy. I don't know how you can tell here, but it's basically red T-handle, so you can grab at it with gloves. It's easy to access if you are wearing gloves on the trail. And you basically pull that and split them out. Your bottle's on this guy, and it's deployed. You're ready to use. I've used mine all the time. I've drained a number of extinguishers on the trail. Luckily, never on my own vehicle, but oftentimes on other people's vehicles. You're driving off camber, up steep hills, side hills, and whatnot, and vehicles are full of flammable fluids, obviously. So it's easy for, say, power steering or something to splash, get on the exhaust, and it can be an instant fire pretty quick. So I've used mine multiple times to save other people's asses. So it's just nice to see people have one off the hop. Yeah, I'm surprised vehicles don't even come with a fire extinguisher from OEM. I feel it's a pretty simple and smart thing to have in your car. So, I mean, that's not an expensive modification. I think it should be one of the first ones you make. And yeah, we've always got them here in stock at TMR. I can get them out to you right away.
Awesome. Okay, right on. Very cool.
I'd wonder if it was a liability thing from the OEM why they wouldn't have one, because they couldn't offer training on how to use it. I mean, we all kind of get the idea of how to run it, but because you bought it independently, I think it's a good idea. But I think that might be one of those like trip ups for them where they were like, well, I wasn't trained to use my fire extinguisher, so I didn't do it right, and my car burned. It's your fault. Give me a new one. Kind of something weird like that. Right?
I can see that. I mean, if your vehicle's on fire, they probably just want you like the hell away from it. Get away from it. Don't try.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, somebody's wife sues somebody because their husband tried to save the car.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you're out in the woods, it's kind of you save it or you watch it burn to the ground. So I think for the cost of this guy and a fire extinguisher, I just consider them cheap insurance.
Oh, totally. And then you save a trail, maybe. You know what I mean? You never know how big that flame is. All of a sudden, you roast like a hectare of fucking land or something. You know what I mean? Like, so makes sense if you're on a trail. Like, I'm guilty. I have them. I have your stuff on the shelf here in the off-road addiction, but I don't have one in any of my stuff because I'm, it's on some list somewhere that's 1,000 meters long. But now that it's top of mind, maybe I'll just go steal one off the shelf and stick it in the Jeep.
There you go. There you go. Only you can prevent the, hectare of burning,
I almost got enough hair to be a Smokey the Fire Bear anyway, so maybe I should get one on there.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, speaking of that, this week's topic is the idea of getting back onto the trails. And as I said before, whether it's the first time out or you've been doing it for years, everyone can learn something, I think, from one another, whether you have been doing it a long time or it's your first time. And yeah, so why don't we talk about sort of getting prepared? So we're going out. We're going to spend a day wheeling. Tim, what typically would you do? Say 24 hours, 72 hours, if anything, before you head out to a trail, or do you just grab your keys and away you go?
It depends on the trail. I mean, I think it's better to be over prepared than under prepared, but as you gain more experience, I think you realize you can sometimes take less things along, whereas when you're starting out, you probably, like, use the old phrase, bring everything in the kitchen sink. But then there's some people that start out to bring nothing. So at the very least, I'd make sure your vehicle's got proper front and rear recovery points, and get yourself a tow strap and some D-rings or some saw shackles. I think that would be like the bare minimum to go out. If you're going out with a group and you're starting out, hopefully you're out with some people that are more experienced than you. And throughout your travel or off-road day, I think you're going to come across seeing some other gear possibly in use that you want to pick up for futures. But at the very least, just carry a tow strap, proper recovery points on your vehicle, and D-ring or soft shackle. Because at least then if you get stuck or bury your vehicle, you can ask. Obviously, it's cool to ask someone for help, but you've got your own gear. So you have some level of independence, and to me it just shows maybe the more expert person that's going to pull you out that you give a shit and you came prepared. I think there's nothing worse than being out with someone new. They bury their Jeep or vehicle somewhere stupid they shouldn't have gone on the trail, and then they just throw their hands up kind of like it's your responsibility now to drag them out. I mean, totally cool, help anyone out, but I mean you should be prepared to help too. And same, like, if your Jeep's buried in a mud hole, I wouldn't sit in it and hope someone else is going to swim through the mud hole to hook up to your junk. Like, don't be that guy or girl. You better be out there hooking up the gear to your recovery points yourself and doing everything you can to assist. And if you don't know, just ask. There's no shame in not knowing something, asking the right questions. But yeah, just don't do something with your Jeep. Done with your Jeep, bury it, and throw your hands up and act like it's someone else's responsibility, because it never is. You're responsible for your own vehicle and keeping everyone safe.
Cool. Right on. Question. So the recovery points you were talking about. So are we talking about, stock Jeep comes with sort of recovery points front and back? Is that enough, or do we need to do something, in addition to that?
No, to get started, all modern Jeeps are coming with recovery points front and rear, as well as a lot of full-size trucks too. So on a Jeep, I think the factory stuff is adequate for sure. To get started, you don't need to go out buy new gear. You don't need bumpers with D-rings welded I mean, you're going to want that stuff down the road for sure. And it doesn't help having more options in terms of points to hook to your vehicle. But to get started and have some fun, a stock Jeep out of the box will get it done.
Okay, awesome. All right. And Ryan, I know that you, I've heard you say a number of times, and I've read your articles, so I know that you have a bag that you typically take. So do you sort of have that always prepared, or what do you do, say, 24 hours before you're heading out to a trail?
I have a few bags because most of the time when we're going 4-wheeling, we're running some clinics, so mostly new people. So I like to have some tools. So I probably bring a little more than I used to too, just because I'm taking care of a few more people. But I'll have my bags all set out. So I'm pretty type A, like weirdo, like controllers on my thing are straight and all that. But so I'll have like the first aid bag, all on its own, and I'll have recovery gear in a bag, and that's kind of stuff that Tim was talking about. So like I like snatch block, D-rings, tree saver, big strap, like a nice pair of durable gloves, and I like all that stuff in one thing, right? So just in case you're switching vehicles or you're doing different things, it's nice to have it all together. And then I'll have tools. Basically, you don't have to bring all your tools, but you kind of want common sizes that fit your vehicle, right? So, I mean, that might be advanced for a lot of people. Obviously, if you're new, you're not going to have that kind of stuff, but we do just in case. So we would have an assortment of wrenches and, zip ties and some electrical tape. I'll have like a little electric tester in case there's something weird going on. Mostly with new Jeeps, you don't run into that problem unless you decide to go swimming. But the old stuff you used to do that have all those problems with electrical and stuff. Yeah, other than that, I got that fancy ARB jack, so I tug that thing around. It's pretty cool. That's really what I bring for recovery gear. So, like, let's say if we were going to go out now, I would go upstairs to my recovery junk. I'd open it up, make sure it's all cool. Another thing I bring, like this time of year for where we are, like I bring a bug suit. Like this start to get deadly. And bug suit, bug spray. A couple of things like in the safety kit, and then Benadryl's good, especially if you got little kids and stuff. You know what I mean? They're going to get bitten by a bunch of bugs, and then they're going to start to swell up, so it's nice to have that. Yeah, that's kind of it, but I would definitely just go through my stuff, check my straps out, make sure that they're not in poor condition, right? And if I still think it's okay, I might keep it as an extra and then just bring along some newer stuff. But, so I would just go through and make sure all the stuff I thought was there is there, and it's in the correct bags. And then, like I said, then I know, right? And then if we switch vehicles or bring different ones, I know just grab these 3 bags and we're set. So just a little bit of organization is good.
Yeah. All right. No, that makes a lot of sense. It's funny you mentioned the plastic zip ties. That's what I learned in my limited experiences. Those plastic zip ties save your butt like on numerous occasions. Yeah, so those things are great. All right, cool. No, that's great. So, just sort of to recap, so we want to make sure we have the proper tow points, recovery points, especially if you're going in a group, right? So if you're not necessarily, you don't need a winch is what I think I'm trying to say here, right? You don't necessarily need a winch.
One guy in the group with a winch is a good idea. You know what I mean? At the very least, and then, that would make sense,
Okay. Yeah, so that makes sense. And then so one guy's got a winch, then we're probably okay with some like zip ties, maybe a fire extinguisher with one of those awesome TMR quick release mounts. What else did we say? What about ratchet sets? So especially if you don't have the quick release for the sway bars.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, for familiar tools to your vehicle, right? So you don't have to bring the kitchen sink like Tim was saying, but just common sizes. So if you're handy or you've built your own vehicle or something like that, chances are if you've done that, you probably have that type of toolkit. But that's what my toolkit is, like JK, JL, TJ kind of common sizes. Like, I got like 13 mil wrenches and 14 mil wrenches and 15 mils and the 10 mil. And, I got adjustables and, I got some definitely side cutters. And like I said, some wire strippers if necessary, like just those kind of common tools, you kind of pick that up as handy as you are, like depending on your skill set, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, and then that being said, if you're going on a 101 and you're new, that's kind of my responsibility as the guide. That way I would just carry those types of tools. I would just want you to at some point at least get your own recovery gear and make sure you got those recovery points, like don't take off that single hook if you plan on going four-wheeling on the back of the Jeep. Like, we want to keep that. Yeah, so it kind of depends on how you evolve, really. But
all right, well, okay, so that's great. So that's leading up to the actual event, the day of, if you will. So we arrive at the park or the trail. What's do you have a sort of checklist, Tim? Do you have a checklist that you get out and you do things, air down, check, license plates, all that sort of fun stuff?
For sure. So just as an example for myself, obviously air down. If you guys aren't familiar with that, you lower the tire pressure to improve your contact patch. If you've never done this before, ask around to the group, try and find someone on a similar vehicle, tire size, wheel size as you. If you're running beadlock wheel, you can obviously go much lower in pressure than you can if you're just running a standard aluminum or steel wheel. But if you're not sure on what pressure to run for that terrain, don't be afraid to ask and just go with someone else's guidance. If you have a low-hanging license plate or other feature on your daily driver and you can easily take that off, it's probably a good idea. It feels like after every weekend I see lots of social media posts. Did anyone find my license plate in said mud hole or rock trail, whatever? So yeah, if you can just take that off yourself before you go out, a good idea. If you've got a modern day Jeep Rubicon and you're blessed with electronic sway bar disconnect, awesome. Go ahead and pop that free. Yeah, if not, there's lots of aftermarket options for quick sway bar disconnects, as well as, like you mentioned, Paul, there's nothing wrong with taking wrenches and taking it apart yourself. Maybe just practice that at home so you know what to do the morning of. Or like Ryan said, if there's a tool set you need to do that, carry those tools with you so you're independent. And then if you've never been on the trail yourself, I would just ask someone more experienced, at what point should I be engaging four-wheel drive? Do you recommend I engage four high, four low, etc.? Because I've been out with lots of new people, and you get nervous in a group if you've never been out before. So like people just start hitting the trail and you think you got to get in line and keep up and think you're all going to drive along fast. But oftentimes you want to be in low range because we're going to be going ascending and descending hills. So you don't want, if you're in a manual, you don't want to be smoking your clutch. I've been out with lots of people and they're behind me. And yeah, you smell that clutch roasting and they don't know that there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally cool. So if you're someone more experienced, it doesn't hurt either to stop and say like, hey, pop it in low range. That's going to be a lot easier on your vehicles. Yeah, there's a lot to learn, but don't get nervous and think you gotta keep up to everyone's pace. Whoever's in front of you should be toning back and working at a pace you're both comfortable with. So yeah, air down, disconnect sway bars, get some parts off the vehicle, like I'm saying, like license plates or that, and then yeah, you're pretty much ready to get out there.
Awesome. Question about, so if we're flipping into four high, for example, how fast can you go on four high? Like, do you have to stay below a certain speed, or can you kind of rip it as, does it matter?
No, in new stuff, you go highway speeds in four high. Like, I generally don't go four-wheeling in four high ever, to be honest. The only time I use four high is like really if you're in the snow belt and you want to go down the road and it's dirty out, like I put in four high. That'd be really the only time I would use it. I would just gear up in the sense, right? New 8-speeds, got lots of gears. If you're manual, you got lots of gears. So if I needed to go through like a mud hole and I needed some momentum, instead of starting in first gear low, like maybe I'd start in second or third gear and I'd just stay in it. And then for manual guys, don't shift when your train's underwater or in the mud, just fucking pick a gear and go. So yeah, personally, yeah, that would be it. It's when we go out, it's like I said, it's the air down. We have a good chat. Tell people those little rules, like simple stuff for trails is, let the guy do the obstacle in front of you. You got to wait and start. And then, always, check back, make sure people are following you behind, So, and then if you do run CBs or something like that, like, we'll pick a channel and we can all chat. But it really depends. Like, we're pretty good with it because most people don't have CBs out of the box. And I'm usually running up and down the trail anyways. And, we bring out a bigger group. We usually have one to three guides, usually at least, right? So
yeah, okay, right on. So that's interesting. So don't switch gears if you're in a manual when you're in the mud or underwater.
Yeah, totally.
That's a really good tip. All right, cool. And then what about lockers? So if you've got a modern Rubicon, or you just happen to have a vehicle that has lockers, are we switching on the lockers when we get there, or do you sort of need those or turn them on as you need them?
Yeah, you need engaging the lockers, phenomenal for traction, but it puts a lot more strain on your entire driveline. So if you get to a trail, you pop her in a low range and you lock it up front and rear. If you're on a high traction surface like a rock or that, there's a lot more refined in your driveline, and you're asking a lot more of those components. So in my opinion, I use my lockers selectively when trail wheeling. Put them on when you need them, generally starting with the rear, followed by the front. And you're just going to learn when you'd want to engage them when you approach an obstacle. And yeah, if it's a nasty mud hole or a rock pile and you've never traversed that before, yeah, you're probably going to want to lock it up. And also, like Ryan's saying, maybe if you've got a CB radio, pop on that, ask the vehicle in front of you for communication as to what they did, and really watch the vehicle in front of you. This just goes as a general wheeling tip, but you can learn a lot from the vehicle in front of you if it's similar to yours, good or bad. I mean, people pick great lines. Okay, I got to go to dance through that obstacle, and man, people pick some shit lines, which is awesome to watch too. And then you're gonna learn from that. So blockers, no, when needed, unless we're talking like a hardcore vehicle that's like spooled front and rear. But I mean, that's a different animal. But when we're talking with trail riding, use your lockers selectively.
Yeah, like when we do the events, I'm kind of just standing there before all the more prominent obstacles, and I'll let you know. I'll be like, hey, first gear low or whatever, or if you're manual, just put in drive, and you can do a rear locker. And then there's no shame in trying something too. Like once you've been out a few times, you just kind of want to try it and get a feel for it. Like we do like a 3, if the day's going well and everyone's cool, like we'll do like a 3-try thing. So you got 3 tries to do it. You do it, great. And then, funny thing is what Tim said about following the guy in front of you is pretty cool. Sometimes they pick really poor decisions, and then sometimes the vehicle is so mischallenged where you're following a one on 40s and you're on 33s, and he's just making it look easy, and you're like just smashing shit everywhere. So I've seen that quite a bit, and I've laughed pretty hard. But just point your tires at the big rocks and drive over them. Don't fucking use the center, right? That's kind of another one.
Yeah, that's a good one too, for sure. Awesome. All right. And so how about trail signage and ratings? So, trails have different ratings, different colors. Is that a universal thing? I know typically it's more like ski hills, but what are we thinking with that? Should we? So, for example, someone shows up to the trails, they may not have a ton of experience. Are we going over to the black guys or the red guys, or?
It's tough to say because like sometimes people show up in a lesser vehicle without a lot of experience, and they don't want to be told they shouldn't be on a certain trail. They shouldn't try something. I see this at like large events lots of the time. Like someone will show up and they're just like, well, I want to go on this trail. And sometimes the guides will say like, I don't think that's the best decision. I think you're likely to incur body damage. But sometimes people have too much bravado and they're just like, no, like I'm gonna pound my vehicle through there. God bless you if you want to do that. But maybe this is one of those instances where you should listen to someone more experienced, because no one wants. I mean, people love watching a car wreck, but when we're talking about some sports, but no one wants to see you wreck your vehicle. So just listen to those with more experience than you, because they're probably trying to be helpful, and no one's trying to check your ego or knock you down a peg. I mean, people are going to give you real advice and how to follow
it's coming from the right place, right? They're just wanting to be good, because like even recovering a vehicle is much different off road or down a trail than just on the ditch or something. You know what I mean? Like you got to right that vehicle however ways you got to do that, and then depending on where you are, like you got to get all the way back out wherever that may be. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean it seems like no harm, but sometimes it could take you like total like hours and hours to get out, right? And then did you bring enough food? Did you bring enough this? Are you in a position where maybe you have to stay out there overnight? Like I went out overnight, but I actually was going the whole way back. I didn't end up sleeping out there, which was intense, but from 10 p.m. to 7:15 a.m. it was amazing.
Really?
That was my fault. The truck was being a piece of shit.
No, but that's a good point, because you always say bring lots of water and snacks, right? And you're totally right. It's not like you're just running to the mall, and you could get. Todd from Solo Jeeper there, he's told me a couple stories where he's gone out to rescue people, and it's been hours to get them out, hours and hours and hours. As a matter of fact, talk about patience. That guy's pretty amazing, but. Yeah, hours and hours and hours just to get someone out of a mud pit. They didn't know what they were doing. They went out by themselves, and they sent out an SOS over Facebook, right? So, really good point. And then the other thing, I guess, in the same sort of idea of like getting stuck in a mud pit and destroying the environment. What about tread lightly? I see that a lot of people, it's an organization that does some really great things. Do you all sort of follow that tread lightly ideology, if you will, when you're out on the trails?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you just kind of basically like there's a whole bunch to it, but you just kind of want to stick to the trail that's made. You're not going to try and make it any bigger, any wider. And then sometimes the seasonal things, you know what I mean? Like if it's too wet and too gross, like kind of avoid it. Don't over abuse ruts. There's a whole bunch of stuff. It's mostly common sense, like, and if you treat all the environment with respect, then we can keep continuing to use the space, right? Like the governments have to allow us to use that. And you're always fighting environmentalists anyway. So do everyone and yourself a favor. If you enjoy the sport, just kind of be normal. Like, hey, should I go blow donuts in that marsh field? Probably no. That's probably dumb. You know what I mean? So, those kinds of things, right? If you want to like burn some tires up on some rocks, that's okay. I think. Like, I don't think the rocks aren't going to do fuck all. They're just going to roast your tires, right? So there's that kind of stuff. And there are people that are oversensitive to it. Like someone, maybe you're smoking your tires coming up some rocks and be like, oh my God, you're destroying the world. But well, fuck, you're not really doing anything. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
You're gonna get extremists on either side, but yeah, just kind of common sense. And if you don't really have common sense or you're questioning your common sense, just ask someone that looks reasonable, and they'll probably be able to direct you in the right area. Like, I don't know,
yeah,
I've seen some weird shit over the years. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, fair enough. So essentially, just common sense. I mean, try not to, park your Jeep in a stream, and that sort of thing.
Don't change your oil out there. You know
yeah.
what I mean? If you have something like that, try and button up those types of issues before you go out. Like you have trucks that are leaking and are real rough. Maybe invest that time and money into fixing them first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if something may spill, like there's guys, I actually don't have one, but guys that bring spill blankets and stuff like that, like good on them. That's one thing that honestly I don't have, but I probably should now that it just kind of came to mind. But something like that. So if you did tip over and you had to drain your oil out, you know what I mean? Like this is usually more extreme, but we've seen like 101 people flip over. Not on my stuff ever. 15 years. But it happens, right? And then if you got to write that vehicle up and then pull the plugs and crank it over or drain the oil or some shit, like, you want to be able to make that as clean as possible. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that makes a lot of sense. All right, perfect. All right, well then, yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything as far as, from what to do ahead of time, what to do when you show up. Let's make sure that we take care of the trails and have some respect for, some common sense. And so we have a couple questions. First one is from NY Fire Guy. So I assume he's a New York City firefighter. Let's just go with that, and we'll say thanks for your service. Okay, so I recently went off-roading with a friend. It was an amazing experience, but I'd like to start four-wheeling more often. And I'm not sure if I want to spend the money on a new Jeep just to take it off-road, or if I should spend the money on an older Jeep and put the money into fixing it up. Which of the two would you recommend? Tim, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, a new Jeep's going to cost you far more or potentially more in monthly payments. I think you just got to be real about how far you want to go with this off-road thing and what you're comfortable spending. So I would take a look at your total budget, and that's really going to assess it. If you want to be on 40s, 1-ton, V8 swapped, yeah, you might want to look at an older vehicle. It's going to be cheaper to put those parts into a cheaper base or platform, because at that point you're really there's nothing left of the Jeep. We're pretty much down to a tub. You're stripping everything Jeep-wise out of it. But if you want the best in terms of reliability, going with the most modern vehicle you can afford is going to be it. It's just going to have limitations in terms of drivetrain and powertrain. So I think you really got to look. I try to tell people, like, try and look 5 years out. Like, how fast have you progressed with what you have with your current Jeep, and where do you think you're going to get to? Because there's lots of people that buy something brand new, and then 2 years later, like, oh, shit, I'd rather just trailer to the trail because I want to be able to pound it and not worry about it getting me to work on Monday. Or other people are like, no, I want something as reliable as possible. I'm not mechanically inclined. I want to take it to a great shop and have the modifications and maintenance done for me. And yeah, it's going to get me to work Monday. It's a dual purpose rig. So I just try and forecast a little bit on where you think you're going within the sport, and just try and spend the money one time. Be smart. Ryan,
similar, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really, that hits a nail on the head. It's like having a good conversations with those types of people that, can probe those questions, and then you can kind of, self-evaluate from there, and just like, yeah, where does this thing fit in? Like, hey, I got a daily driver. This is going to be a toy. You know what I mean? Or and then again, it's money. So some people do go all out and they buy that new vehicle and do all the crazy stuff to it, right? And then, they got a $200,000 machine that they bust through the bush, right? Or you get someone with a $5,000 truck that just wants to have a laugh and maintain it and put on the trailer. And then, if you break it, it's a $5,000 truck, not the end of the world, or maybe 10,000 or whatever, right? It just depends on budget, functionality, and then your interests. You know what I mean? And, maybe it is tough to see 5 years down the road, but at the same time, at least if you're thinking that way forward, then you probably put yourself ahead of the game instead of just going in and spending money and I don't know. And then all of a sudden you've wasted a bunch of money. On the other side of the coin, there is an evolution of it too, right? Where, he went the first time, loves it. Now he wants to go more because he's excited, right? So maybe there's going to be a cost to that in the sense where you're going to put in kit X based on you at that point in time, right? And then you may go again and level up again, right? So it's the evolution of it too, right? So if you kind of just keep it in mind and then spend accordingly or talk to some good people about it, and then maybe if you join a club and stuff and you're going out with a bunch of people, try and sit in something cool. You know what I mean? Like me and his brother Mike went out in the proto. What was it called? Archetype, right? The year TJ.
The TJB, the blueprint. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, the blueprint. So we went out dude, I don't know when it was. I think I broke something and I couldn't go out the next day, and then me and Mike went, and it was just cool to get in something else, just something different. So if you can do that, right, something, and then get on a trail for half a day with somebody that's doing something else and go hey, maybe this is too scary, or I'm pumped for this, or maybe I just like doing trails with my kids or my wife and camping and stuff. Then that'll kind of just put you at least a good point on the map where you want to go, right?
Yeah, no, that's really good.
I've definitely came with some like-minded people. You know what I mean? And it's the same, a mass amount of people. You're going to like some people. You're going to not like some people. You're going to get people that make sense. You're going to have people that don't make sense. So you kind of got to take out the grain of salt, similar to the internet, right? So, I think that's kind of where you're at.
All right, cool. Oh, that's awesome. All right. So we have Jen's JK Sport. So she says, I've purchased a stock 2015 JK Sport, and I want to beef it up for hitting the trails. I live in Eastern Tennessee. What is the first modification I should make? Ryan, you want to start with that one?
So beefing it up, we always see, really the sensible thing if you're going off-road, we want recovery points and some recovery gear. But what we always see and kind of is the bang for the buck is a lift rims tires, to be honest. You know what I mean? And you kind of get that massive dopamine hit because the truck looks super cool. And it's way more functional than stock. You know what I mean? You got bigger tires. You can go over stuff. Same kind of thing I would just see when we start conversations in the retail environment that way. We're kind of hey, what are you looking to do? What do you like? Send me some pictures of some Jeeps that you think are super cool. You know what I mean? Have you sat in one? If you're local to the retail store, you pop in and sit in something with 35s or sit in something with 37s or, come see some tires and, kind of get an idea of what you want to do that way. And then that's kind of where it kind of all starts. Because, functionality is cool, but you got to be happy and like the look too, right? So if you just want that thing on 37s, like Jim said, we were talking at the beginning, I don't know if we recorded that part, but he's I got to get the Gladiator on 37s. He already knows. Because the thing looks weird with the little tires on it. He needs 37s at bare minimum, right? So I'm not sure he wants to be, but because that's him, right? So, and I totally agree. 37s or 40s. Honest to God, if I buy one, which we keep talking about it, fuck. I'd put it on 40s. I'd just drive it to the grocery store. I don't give a shit. But that'd be it. It'd be just a little more conversation with her. I think, and just from my experience for a decade and a half, I'd say lift rims tires is kind of, because everyone's just lift rims tires, and I'm in agreement because you need to lift it to get the bigger tire on it anyways. It's kind of the biggest piece of the puzzle, and then you can kind of customize it from there. And if you got a couple extra bucks, grab a recovery bag while you're at it, I guess.
All right, cool. Tim, what's your take?
Yeah, I think what Ryan's saying is spot on. Most people that are into off-road, whether you want it for performance, bigger tires to get over bigger obstacles, or you just want that look because you drive it every day and you want to enjoy a custom vehicle and take pride in that. Lift wheels tires is an awesome way to go. Being that she's from Tennessee, her terrain's going to be similar to ours. It's going to be a mix of rock, trees, mud, a bit of everything that's going to have some good diversity. So, I would look at what other mud terrain tires people are running in your area. Maybe if you're getting out with a club, see what people have for lifts in your area and hold up. If you're doing the work yourself, then do tons of research, talk to good shops. If you're having the work done by a shop, shop around and see what they recommend. I mean, really lean on people's expertise. But yeah, lift wheels, tires. I think bumpers are going to come right after that because the factory bumpers are wide. I mean, they can inhibit you from getting up onto rocks, or you're just going to wreck them. They're not going to hold up. So yeah, I think Ryan's spot on. That gives you wicked trail performance, like an instant upgrade in terms of your capabilities. And it looks awesome. There's nothing wrong with looking at your custom vehicle and enjoying it. So it's perfect.
Right on. Yeah, no. And I think we mentioned it last time. I mean, mine's relatively stock, but I got a 3-inch lift with 35s. And yeah, I was super impressed taking it out and what it can do. I mean, really, with almost nothing else, manual gearbox and up and over rocks, and really no issues from the Jeep standpoint anyway. I mean, it moves.
Yeah.
So.
Then
Awesome.
you move on. If you wanted to add lockers or something, if you didn't have a Rubicon out of the box, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because an open Jeep with on 35s can actually do quite a bit of stuff. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, there'd just be some obstacles that would be maybe challenging, but you could get through some harder trails for sure and mess around. And and some people, that's where they stop. They're like, yeah, that's cool for me. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, it brings up another question. What about the all-wheel drive Jeep? I mean, is it? I mean, I don't know if you have any experience, but are we considering that to be as good for taking off-road, or is that somebody that just wants a Jeep and is going to drive it as a daily?
I wouldn't buy an all-wheel drive Jeep, but I like the selectable ability for sure, man. Like you're already driving a toaster down the road, like there's no aerodynamics. They're already a little tougher on fuel. I mean, you're just going to add that it's unnecessary, right? And most of the time you don't need four-wheel drive from a daily perspective, you know what I mean? Unless you're way north and, or there's just snow all the time. But I would still run a selectable, to be honest. I don't know. I'd never go to all-wheel drive unless it was like a Porsche or a Subaru or something like, that's kind of fun. But still, yeah, I would definitely do that. Because I don't even know if they have low range in those. I never look at that kind of stuff. Just like factory tire sizes, I don't know. I just throw that shit away, man. I don't look at it.
Yeah. No, I haven't looked at it either. I just brought it to top of mind. I forgot that they even offered it. But
let's go hard no.
Yeah,
There's
fair
no
enough.
confusion. Don't buy a fucking all-wheel drive Jeep. Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so we have Tom. Tom asks, I purchased a slightly used 2018 JKU. Looks like it still has some warranty on it. Will taking it off-road void the warranty? Tim?
No, I mean if you're pounding it through a pile of rocks and you fold it in control arm and clearly that hit a rocks obstacle and that's what caused it. Use some common sense. That's not going to be covered. That's not what your warranty's for. Same with we see it all the time. There's lots of people that are like, I want to buy a part, and I only want to buy a part that's got warranty because they think that somehow excludes them from using common sense, and they can just run it as hard as they want. I mean, that's not the case. But no, in this customer instance, no, taking it off road doesn't void your warranty unless specifically what you did caused that problem. I mean, yeah, if you go swimming with the thing and bury it, you're kind of fucked. Yeah, your warranty's not going to apply potentially to some of those electronics or if you're in something in your driving. So common sense applies here, but mild and moderate off-roading is not going to void your warranty. With that said, don't take it to the dealership covered in mud, top to bottom. I mean, you're giving them easy, a real easy out. So yeah, clean that thing up and detail it and make it look proper before you take it in. Even respectfully for a mechanic, I don't think it's fair that a mechanic's got to wrench on your muddy or dirty Jeep. Like that's not fair to them. That's not really in the job description. So clean it up and they'll do a better job taking care of you and your vehicle's going to get better attention and service, I feel.
Ryan, same thing, I assume?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Exactly. If you had an issue with it that's potentially or could be related and you went four-wheel on the weekend before, yeah, definitely clean it for those vast amount of reasons, right? I don't know where the mentality comes from, like screaming at people and stuff. Like the Walmart mentality in the sense where, if you just yell loud or the cell phone mentality, they're going to give you free stuff. Like we're all humans, you know what I mean? And just treat people like you want to be treated, you know what I mean? Be like, hey, just as nice as you can be, right? You get the bees with the honey instead of the vinegar, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Right on.
I don't know. that's kind of where I'd be at. You know what I mean? And yeah, totally.
Awesome. Okay, no, that's great. And yeah, and that's all we have for questions. If you have a question, just feel free to leave a comment below or hit us up on Instagram, and we'll add it to the show. So thanks a lot, guys. Tim? What do you have going on over the next few days? I know, again, no events, no fun stuff, but at least it's getting nicer, right? It's getting warmer.
For sure. We're kind of realizing we should get our race vehicle prep for when we can go back to off-road racing. We neglected it just because we've been so busy here at the shop filling orders and building parts. So we're going to figure out either working some weekends, early mornings or late evenings, but we want to be prepared so that when we can get back to off-road racing and more recreating outdoors, that at least our projects are ready and we can take advantage of whatever the short season allows us.
Right on. Okay. And Ryan, how's the JL?
It's coming.
Yeah.
I just we roughed our third link bracket, so I'm gonna shape it nice and fun because we're just kind of hand making some of that stuff because it doesn't exist. So yeah, that'll be tonight, 6 till midnight probably, or 2 in the morning, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just in your spare time.
Yeah, as long as I can stay awake. When I start making mistakes, we shut her down. That's all.
Yeah, right on. Okay, amazing. Well, hey guys, as always, thanks so much. I hope listeners and the people watching this got a lot out of it. I'm sure I know I did. So I think it was another awesome show. I really appreciate it.